march toward the Promised Land. Amidst the searing winds of the Sinai wilderness, Moses felt the weight of a divine calling. It was more than a mere census. It was a heavenly mandate to reshape a fragmented people into a holy assembly. The tabernacle was to sit at the very heart of the nation, with each tribe stationed in perfect symmetry around it. Moses looked at Aaron, his breath catching, as he realized the magnitude of the vision. By keeping their assigned places, the people would make the invisible presence of God visible through their order. The wilderness was no longer a place of aimless wandering, but a sacred sanctuary of discipline and grace. To the east, where the sun first breaks the horizon, Nahshon, the leader of the tribe of Judah, raised his banner high. Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun were to lead the march, serving as the vanguard for the entire nation. When Moses handed the ledger of names to Nahshon, the leader's eyes burned with a resolute will. They were given the glorious responsibility of being the first to greet the light and the first to face the unknown. For them, order began with obedience, and that obedience became their strength. As each family gathered under their standard, the scattered hearts of the people began to beat as one. On the southern side, the tribes of Reuben, Simeon, and Gad took their positions. Among them was Ethan, a seasoned elder who had endured the long years of hardship. Nahshon stopped to assist the old soldier, pointing out exactly where his family's tents should be pitched. For Ethan, in the twilight of his life, this strict arrangement was not a cold military tactic. It was a divine assurance that God remembered him personally. Though his steps were slower than they once were, Ethan's heart swelled with the realization that simply by standing in his appointed place, he was an essential thread in the grand tapestry of God's history. At the very core of the camp, the tabernacle and the Levites were stationed. Aaron took the young Levite Elkanah aside to demonstrate the meticulous care required to transport the sacred vessels. When the camp moved, the presence of God moved with them, protected by the tribes but also serving as the source of their life. Elkanah watched Aaron's hands with reverence, learning how to shoulder the holy burdens. He realized that the weight he carried was not a heavy chore, but the very lifeline of Israel, the center around which all life revolved. Finally, the pillar of cloud began to lift, and the piercing sound of the silver trumpets echoed across the valley. Led by the tribe of Judah, the massive procession began to move. From a high ridge, Moses watched the sea of people flow across the sand in perfect harmony. Within the ranks, Ethan maintained his pace, his eyes fixed on the path ahead. They were no longer a mob of escaped slaves. They were the army of the living God. Each person held their position. Each fulfilled their mission, marching toward the promise. Above them, the cloud of glory stretched out like a protective canopy, guiding them home.